Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about the boomers and their No King's Day. This dumb shit we've seen. I don't know if all of y'all have heard about it, but it's a protest that they had over the weekend, and they're protesting against kings, right? Like Trump is trying to be king of the United States. Just utter ridiculousness. But I saw one of these protests. Somebody went up and found one of these old ladies and stuffed a mic in her face, and she starts crying, talking about how scared she is, and she can't understand why anybody would vote for this guy and all this shit, talking about Trump. And she's just scared for the future, and she's sitting there crying. And I'm the whole time I'm just shaking my head, thinking, how are you so gullible? How are you this insane? Okay, to get out there and protest, to try to stop a president from being king, who's never done or acted in any way like he wanted to be king or is trying to be king. You're just inventing shit to protest about. Inventing shit to be upset about, right? And that's this whole thing about with the media, right? They're still watching this legacy media shit. These old people, they want to be hip and cool and all this, but they're still watching this ancient ass, lying ass, false propaganda media, CNN, MSNBC, and all this bullshit, right? And I'm not saying that you're an idiot or whatever if you watch it, but you're an idiot if you believe that shit. Okay, I'll watch a CNN clip once in a while just to see what kind of lies they're spouting. It might be something interesting that I can make a video about, their lies. But so we got all kinds of different reasons for watching legacy media. Okay, but we don't have any reason to believe anything they say in this day and age. And I've heard time and time again from boomers and older people where that's all they watch. That's all they watch that shit. They believe it. They believe that those sellout corporate talking heads are telling the truth. And to be asleep, to remain willfully ignorant to that degree to where you will get up out of your house and go protest, all right, it's unfathomably stupid. It's moronic. And I don't give a shit what you're protesting about. And y'all who have been following me for a while, you know that I've got questions about Trump and his administration. So don't get me wrong here. Don't get shit twisted. I'm not 100% pro-Trump. But to just blindly go out there and protest anything because the TV told you is just it's ultra stupid. I just don't get it. And I saw another clip where they actually had a booth at one of these No Kings rallies, right? They had a booth with Trump dolls, and you could go up there. These old people were going up there and beating up Trump dolls. 75-year-old man going up there and beating up a Trump doll and talking to it like it was a little kid, telling it was bad boy and naughty and shit. Yeah, these people are stupid. You think I'm hyping shit up when I tell you that what the boomers are doing out there. I see them on the streets here locally, but protesting once in a while. And again, I must reiterate that I'm not talking about every baby boomer. I'm not talking about that. Every single person who was born between whatever and whatever. I'm not talking about everybody. But the majority of the people out there protesting above the age of 25 are boomers. Okay? That's just a fact. And these boomers who are out there protesting, these boomers who are out there firebombing Teslas and destroying property, destroying their neighbor's property, vandalizing, doing all this and engaging in this kind of behavior, those specific boomers are stupid. Not every boomer, but if you're not going out there vandalizing and shit and firebombing Teslas and beating up Trump dolls and this kind of stuff, then I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you or anybody like you, or, I'm talking about the idiots out there. It just so happens that I don't see Gen Xers out there doing that shit. I don't see Gen Xers falling for the hype, for the lies, for the media's bullshit. But boomers are, and they're doing it in large numbers. So, and you can't dispute that. You can get mad at me for pointing it out, but you can't dispute that. These people are supposed to be our elders in this society. These people are supposed to be the voices of common sense and reason. They're supposed to be teaching our grandchildren, about the facts of life, not out there making examples about protesting over complete and utter bullshit. All right. They are setting examples for the younger generation. These people are. Think about it. This is the example they are setting. Now, to be completely and utterly gullible and stupid and act on that stupidity. Not only just, it's not good enough just to sit in your house and be stupid. You must go out and act on your stupidity and demonstrate that stupidity to the world. That's the example they're setting for the next generation. And I believe that that got to play into why this younger generation is so screwed up in the head. So maybe there'll be some hope for the future generations when, as Gen X become grandparents and set the example for the younger for the younger generation, for our grandkids. Because the boomers aren't cutting it. These boomers anyway. These boomers, I'll amend that. These boomers aren't cutting it. They're setting a horrible example for their grandchildren. You know what I mean? They're just it's insane. These people are crazy. Take a whole lot of stupid and mix a big dollop of crazy in it, you know what I mean? And a couple dashes of gullibility for good measure, and stir that shit up, and you have these boomers and their behavior. It's hard to watch, really. It really is. But in another way, though, it's not surprising. Because I've been alive for 54 years, and I've been watching these people do this shit. These are the same people who were chaining themselves to trees in the 80s. When I was a teenager, they were in their 30s and late 20s and stuff, and they were chaining themselves to trees and living in this weird, shit, whatever. And they were doing that shit back then. And now that Bill Gates is bulldozing trees, they're all for that, right? Because the box on their wall told them to. So how they rectify that shit in their minds, I don't know. But it's insane. And they're destroying the world. They're destroying Western civilization with this bullshit. And I've got a hunch that this is across Western civilization. Okay, I've said that in a lot of videos that I've made. I have a hunch that they're doing this in Germany, they're doing this in France. It's the same age group of people who are latched onto this legacy media, and they're just gullible. They're morons, and they're crazy, gullible morons. When you put all the pieces together. And they're actively trying to destroy Western civilization with massive waves of immigration, driving our wages down, inflation, because they're brainwashed into believing all this bullshit that's coming out of their squawk box, right? They're told to believe this stuff, so they do. They're told that that trees are bad for the atmosphere. They're bad for the carbon. They emit carbon when trees actually absorb carbon, but they don't have time, in their retirement. They don't have time to actually look shit up and verify any of this information. It's really mind-boggling when you see their behavior back in the day, and then nowadays they've done a complete 180. Now, back when Obama was deporting millions of people, they were all for it. Obama, Obama, Obama. Now that Trump is deporting hundreds of thousands of people, that's horrible. He's trying to be king. We've got to protest. We've got to stage a march and a rally and beat up Trump dolls to show the world how much we hate Trump and we hate Western civilization. And how can you hate your own civilization? How can you hate Western civilization? We have contributed almost everything decent to the world, right? I mean, it's everything. Well, all these modern conveniences and electronics and all this stuff, we have created all this stuff. We created the internet. We created automobiles. We created, you know what I'm saying? So all these people enjoying all these luxuries and then decrying Western civilization. Now, I would gladly go back to the Stone Age with you. You want to, we'll hunt down rhinos with spears and shit. I'm not a big proponent of the internet and technology. I think it's just gone in the wrong direction. I think we should start over. But for the people who are typing on their cell phone that Western civilization sucks, that we're the evil in the world, right? Just our entire civilization is what has destroyed the world. While you're typing on your cell phone to say that shit. Well, Western civilization created your cell phone. They created your air conditioning. They created the house you live in. If not for Western civilization, you'd still be living in a mud hut, if you're lucky, or a teepee or something. You know what I'm saying? Some kind, but or a lodge. The Viking lodge or something. Western civilization created all of this stuff that we take for granted. So, except gunpowder. Now, the Asians gave us gunpowder, which Western civilization took that and used it to great success or detriment, actually, in warfare and stuff. We took full advantage of gunpowder and some other inventions out of Asia, but for the most part, Western civilization is responsible for just the vast majority of everyday conveniences we have now. Microwave ovens and just everything you can think of damn near, right? Western civilization is responsible. And these moronic boomers want to destroy it. They want to burn it down. Which, in all honesty, I'm not completely against that idea, all right? I'm not against an apocalypse. I kind of hope for it. But it's why they want to burn it down is what really gets under my skin. They want to burn it down because they think that I am, destroying what they love about the country and all that stuff. They think that I am trying to prevent them from, being this socialist utopia. Because they've done zero research on socialism. They have no idea what has happened in other countries who have tried socialism. They don't know what Marxism is and all this shit, except for possibly some passing references. They have no idea what real communism is. They have no idea what any of this stuff is. All they know is the stuff that they hear out of the TV, what they're told from the TV. Socialism is good. That lazy sack of lying, stinking shit Bernie Sanders up there harping about socialism, never done a day's work in his life, worth a couple $100 million up there, but he wants to take what I got and give it to somebody else. That's just bullshit. And for them to just remain blind and willfully ignorant it's frustrating to watch this shit, to watch the older generation behave this way. Now, I expect kids to act out. I expect kids to act stupid. I expect kids to believe some stupid shit. I expect all this shit out of kids. Yeah, they go too far with it because of the internet and stuff. Don't get me wrong. But in all honesty, if you ask yourself, in all honesty, about the kids, you expect them to behave like morons because they're kids. They'll grow out of it, hopefully, right? At least there's that hope. But when you're looking at 74-year-old boomers out there behaving the same way these kids do. Now, Gen X grew up, but we remained young at heart. Some of these boomers and even millennials are growing up, and in the boomers' case have grown up, and they just remain juvenile in their minds. They didn't grow up and get some logic and common sense but remain young at heart. They just remain juvenilely stupid their entire lives. And have no desire to change, no will to improve in any way. They're completely comfortable in their stupidity. And I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, I'll leave that link down in the description, or you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I appreciate that. Thank you very much to those of you who do that, and I'll leave that link down in the description as well. If you're interested in Gen X gear, we got some pretty cool stuff over there at Redbubble. Gen X Thinks and Gen X branded stuff. Coffee mugs, sweaters, hoodies, all kinds of cool stuff over there. But I'll leave that link down in the description too for any of you who are interested. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out a hell of a lot, so thank you very much to those of you who do that. I really do appreciate it. If you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments. Or you can email us, and the email is genxthinks@gmail.com. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.